King Productions presents the Beardown Corner with your host, Sergeant Cornholio. Hey there, everybody. This is the Beardown Corner. I'm Sergeant Cornholio, and we got another exciting episode of this week's edition here on the show. So, jumping right to it, again, off-season, digging for stories, seeing what we can find, right? This week, we got line center Ragnow retiring. What the hell? 29-year-old basically said in his interview, report, whatever you want to call it, where he made the announcement that he kept telling himself, hey, you're just feeling a little off. You'll be fine. You're going to get there. You're feeling good. You're feeling good. He wasn't feeling good. He, I guess, has been battling, and his body hasn't been quite 100% considering 2 All-Pros the last 2 years. Like, he's a top 5 center in the entire league. But unfortunately, the man's body finally said enough is enough, and he had to listen to it like we all do. So, hey, you know what? Bestie in retirement, young lad. You gave a hell of a run and everything you could for 7 years to the Lions organization. So, you know what? I feel they should just be happy they got what they got out of him and wish the guy the best. Possible replacements. Their second-round pick from this year, Tate. I had trouble even pronouncing this. It was Ratledge, I believe. If I read that right. Tate Ratledge or Graham Glasgow. Now, Glasgow, you'll recognize, he's currently a offensive lineman on that front 5. Now, he has 2,000 snaps at center, though. So he's probably most likely the successor of our current Ragnow retiring. So look to him probably taking snaps at center this year for Jared Goff in the back. And you know what? Radledge just got a starting position because he's going to have to fill the place of that starting guard. So things are shifting along the offensive line because of this abrupt retirement. But hey, you got to do what's best for you at the end of the day. So if that's what this young lad needed to do, I wish you the best, sir. Travis Etienne entering the last year of his rookie contract. The kid, he's not bad. He's pretty damn good, actually. So he dealt with some injuries his first year that were heaving from college. He had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Fell off a bit last year, but last year was just a shit show altogether. So fast forward. New regime comes in. Reports recently stating they don't really like Etienne or Tank Bigsby for that matter. But then Mr. Cohen, Liam Cohen, the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, recently was stating to the press, hey, our guys are just fine. Every day we come to work, Etienne is doing everything I ask him. Right now is his time to carve out a role in my offense. So to me, it kind of resembles a little, I feel, in Tampa Bay's situation. Okay? And the reason I say this is because this is where Liam came from. He was the offensive coordinator for the Bucs last year, and he revitalized Baker Mayfield, got that whole offense going again. That's why they brought him in to Jacksonville. So you got Travis Hunter and Brian Robinson Jr. on your outs. You got your wonderful quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, pretty boy hair. And then you got a bunch of running backs. I feel this team is gifted enough and talented enough that if they wanted, there's no reason they couldn't make a run with Etienne at backfield. I'd take a Travis Etienne. I've seen this kid run. He runs just as hard as anyone else, But just because he was a prior product to the last regime, you're going to get that with any turnaround when an organization changes GMs and head coaches. So, you know what? I like how Cohen presented it, where he's here to carve out a spot in my offense. He comes and works hard every day. That, to me, is showing he's willing to give guys an opportunity that put in the time and effort for his system. So I think Travis Etienne's going to be just fine. When I first seen the report, it was making it sound as if, like, he's done, he's finished, he's going to get traded, something like that. Nah, I like Cohen and his remarks, and I think Etienne will be just fine for Jaguar fans. here's one kind of with the lines trend a little bit. Dan Campbell expects big things out of Jamison Williams this year. He feels his whole little gun fiasco bullshit last year and some of the off-field stuff that they've worked on have been kind of, cleared. It's moving in the right direction. He feels good about his 24-year-old receiver. So if this kid can step up in year 2 and give Jared Goff really a solid number 2, he's never really had a solid number 2 in Detroit. It's been Armand St. Brown, and that's it. It's been one guy and a bunch of other dudes that just fight hard every day. And they make the catches. Don't get me wrong. Like, that offense was fine last year. But I feel a more stable sense of security in what you know as the offense. It's going to be even better for this kid. So I think he might be worth picking up as a late round wide receiver if you're needing to fill out your roster when it comes fantasy time. But we'll see. Reports are coming out of Atlanta. Apparently multiple teams are inquiring about Pitts, tight end, Kyle Pitts, which he did have 1,000 yards last year, 60 catches, only 1 touchdown. But he finally showed what we've all been waiting for. And that's the consistency of catching the ball, getting yards after catch, like doing as a top 10 tight end should be doing. This kid was drafted 8th overall in the first round, 4 seasons ago now, I think? He's been high on everyone's radar every single year. He's entering the last year of his rookie contract. And I think because people finally seen, hey, he can finally get it done to some extent, right? I know the Falcons didn't have like a blowout season, but they still went positive. They had a winning record at the end of the year. Like, it was for naught, right? Like, they didn't just roll over. They were right in until the end of the season. So I don't know if they trade him, though. I don't think Atlanta trades him. I think they're comfortable with Pitts, knowing who he is, him being in the community for all these years. I don't think he's going anywhere, but apparently multiple teams are inquiring. The only thing that's really going to kickstart this, and by reports that I'm coming across, it's like they're asking a second-round pick minimum. A day 2 pick is what's being asked. So maybe a third. But a second or a third for Pitts at this point, I think would be all right. I think that would be fair compensation, actually. Because you're getting a 1,000-yard tight end with the ability to hopefully improve on his blocking. That's pretty much the only thing that's kept him good up to this point. Why do you think Bijan Robinson runs clear lanes? I think Kyle Pitts staying in Atlanta is most likely what's going to happen. Unless they get a combo deal, well, then all bets are off. Another tight end who can be on the move is Jonnu Smith. This one seems a little interesting. So the Steelers are inquiring and working on trying to trade for the tight end. Okay, so Miami would give up their starting tight end, quote unquote. And, he's not a young spring chicken. I think he's like early 30s or whatever, 31 or so. So he still has lots in the tank. The guy has the talent. But what the hell are they going to do in Pittsburgh? That is what is still gets me, because Pittsburgh has the situation right now. They have a team in play. They have a top 10 defense. They have an offensive system in Arthur Smith, who in the past has shown he can get the job done offensively, right? But he's now under the second-year offensive coordinator for Mike Tomlin. I don't think they necessarily need this. They don't even have a lockdown on their quarterback yet. In fact, reports coming out, and this was another segue, but we might as well just mention this in it. Kirk Cousins is on the radar of the backup plan in case Aaron Rodgers doesn't come to town. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in Pittsburgh, man. Right now Mason Rudolph is like the slated starter there. He got no one else. The Browns have hoarded every other quarterback available. Like, what do you do, Pittsburgh? Are you going to rock with Mason Rudolph to start your year? Like, You go and you trade and get DK Metcalf. You trade away George Pickens. You're kind of more like you just beefed up your one wide receiver is all that was. And like tight end, I thought Pat Freiermuth wasn't all that bad. The guy's a big, solid blocker. He can catch the ball just fine. He has the athletic build to take it to the next level. Isn't that what you always want? But yet they're looking at trading for Jonnu Smith. So does that mean a 2 tight end system for Arthur Smith? More blocking for running? Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see as the months come and we get who we get at quarterback for the Steelers. See what kind of bullshit tomfuckery they got going around. And returning to his former head coach when he played in the New York Jets. So we got defensive end Bryce Huff. So here's the deal with this kid. He had a 10-sack season a few years back with the New York Jets when Robert Saleh, the now defensive coordinator for the 49ers, was the head coach of the Jets. He played under Saleh's system. He had a 10-sack year, became a free agent after his rookie. The kid's only 27, by the way. So lots and lots of juice still left in his tank. But he signs a 3-year $51 to go to Philly. He's a bust. Last year, he was a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl. I don't think I really need to explain much more other than he fell out of favor in the system and just his position. Right? He got outplayed by other players. So now the Eagles, I believe he's in the last year of that 3-year deal too. So the Eagles are going to, I believe the way it explained, they're going to eat about half of the contracts. He's due $17 million. So they're going to eat about half of that. He's going to get the other half from San Fran, probably going to be a late round pick, like a 4th or a 5th, I think is the plan. Maybe a 6th. I don't know what his value is. Like, he fits the mold for what Saleh wants and needs. And for a defense that needs to revamp a little bit in the Niners, this isn't a bad move by any means. It creates cap space for Philly moving forward because then they clear up, I think it's 25, I think. 25 mil, I think, comes off their next year's cap. So, because he's only in the second year, right? So he's going to be clear off their books. They eat half of it this year. They already know what they got going into the season. San Fran boosts up a little and everybody's happy. So you know what? I don't mind that one. That one makes perfect, logical business sense. Now, can that be said the same about what's happening in other organizations around the league? Not so much. But, hey, you come across a good story like that every once in a while. Not everything is a clusterfuck like an Aaron Rodgers or, what the Browns are doing down there in Cleveland. But that's okay. Because anyway, that's the end of it. This is the Beardown Corner. I'm Sergeant Cornholio. You can catch us 6 o'clock General Mountain Time every Tuesday on Spotify, Amazon. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat there. Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and of course, YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us this week. I'm Sergeant Cornholio. You take care, be safe, and we will catch you the next time.